As the People's Democratic Party losing its relevance, the opposition party has been plagued by internal crises, members' defection, a leadership crisis, and lots more. The People's Democratic Party's internal crisis has been going on for some time now, with several key members defecting to other parties. Just recently, Olajide Adetokunbo, popularly known as Jandor, resigned from the party, citing internal crisis, anti-party activities, and lack of discipline among the leadership.
To address these questions, we need to examine the root causes of the PDP's internal crisis and what the party is doing to address these issues. Can the PDP overcome its internal challenges and regain its position as a formidable opposition party? Joining us to discuss the future of the PDP is PDP chieftain Adetokunbo Pearse, who's in the studio with us. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. And we also have joining us virtually a former member of the Federal House of Representatives, Shamsudeen Dambazau. Thank you very much for joining us this morning, sir. All right. We're hoping that we can reconnect with him. And then we'll get into the conversation. When we started the conversation, and while my colleague was doing the introduction, he did, of course, talk about the defections that have happened in the PDP. The most recent being the one of Abdulaziz Olajide Adetokunbo, popularly known as Jandor. Whilst defecting, or given his reasons, he did make a lot of accusations or a lot of statements. He stated that he's leaving because of the way the party hasn't thrown their support behind him, particularly Bode George. So I want to first of all get your thoughts as to his reason for leaving, and do you think that the PDP has lost faith completely in Jandor?
The issue, the general comment about internal crisis in PDP, we've always tried to address to say that a crisis is an intractable problem. Our problems are not intractable. The PDP has challenges as other parties have challenges. Politics is defined by the great Greek philosophers as war by other means. Every political party has these challenges. Now, to talk specifically about the problem of Jandor in Lagos State, we need to go to the root cause of his problems in the party. Indeed, had a lot of problems. Otherwise, he wouldn't have scored 5% in the last election. That was disastrous. We never had it so bad. So we need to know what happened to him. I have to start with this biblical saying, Proverbs 20, verse 17. What you gain by deceitful means may taste like the best food for a while. Later on, it will become like a mouthful of sand. That's exactly what happened to Jandor. He did not win the primaries of the election in the legal way, and it was all a sham from the beginning. He came into the party 6 months, and he got the ticket for governor, head of the ticket in the state. How did that happen? That is the beginning of the problem. Jandor came in with all sorts of false claims of achievement and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, the national leaders of the PDP bought his lies. He had hundreds of thousands of supporters. He claimed also to have all sorts of financial support and so on. The leaders bought it. But I think the main reason why the leaders bought it was because of the person who brought him into the whole issue. This was Doyin Okupe, the daughter of a prominent First Republic leader, who took him to Abuja to meet the likes of President Obasanjo, former Vice President Atiku, who were her father's friends. And don't forget that Doyin Okupe was also, this is really Adetokunbo, was also the the secretary to the Lagos State government under Fashola. So she was a credible person who brought Jandor into PDP leadership from Abuja to tell them that with this guy, we can wrestle Lagos State from Tinubu.
So is it safe to say that the PDP leaders did not do their due diligence?
They did not.
What about the internal politics? How did you win internal democracy?
Yes.
How did you win the primaries?
This is what happened. You see, once he has been recommended by such a credible person at such a high level, it became quite easy for him to win the primaries. You are right. The leaders did not do due diligence. I must tell you that I was one of the first people, one of the few people who said from the beginning, this does not make sense. Why I said that was, here is the man whose academic background is questionable. He never saw the walls of a university in his life.
But they call him doctor.
He's not a doctor. This is the problem with Nigeria. What kind of doctor is he? Where did he get his doctorate? In what field? At what time? In what institution? He's one of these quack doctors. They call themselves doctor, they're not a doctor. I have a PhD in English from the University of Sheffield in England. When you say you have an earned doctorate, some people have honorary doctorate. If you now, some of you who have been in the media for so long, and you talk to them or they know you at your university, at some point in time, they may give you an honorary doctorate in social studies or something related to media. That is
to celebrate their professional achievements.
Exactly. Honorary doctorate. Did he get a doctorate as a cameraman?
Doctorate degrees in neighboring countries.
Where he bought it in Cameroon or Senegal or wherever he bought the form for. But anyway, this is the point. Unfortunately for us, these are problems in the party too. You are right. The leaders didn't do due diligence, because what happened in the party is, once Obasanjo said something, what happened was, they now told this Obasanjo and Atiku, and maybe others, now sold the idea to Body George. So Jandor came to Lagos, handed over to Body George to deliver him, as they always do. These leaders will come and they will say, oh, Chief Body George, you are the leader of PDP in Lagos State. Here is a good candidate for you. So he took Jandor in. When he took Jandor in, he now said to Jandor, okay, we are going to do this the way we normally do it. Let's have an interview for all the other contestants, and you are one of them. So they came, and they had this interview. And in that interview, Rose Vival, who was already a member of PDP, long-standing member of PDP, who had run for Senate in West Senatorial District, did quite well. Anyway, according to the interview, Vival came first, Jandor came second, and at the interview, they now decided, for political reasons, because Jandor had been recommended by these great leaders of the party, that they would give the support to Jandor.
So Vival was cheated out of the leadership in PDP.
That is what happened. So when you talk about Body George, because I don't know if you know that I never had a good relationship with Chief Body George at all at that time. And I didn't approve of what they were doing. I knew it would end up badly.
Well, in hindsight now, he seems to regret his actions of endorsing.
Yeah, but the fact is, this is what happened. It was unfortunate. When he now endorsed him, they now said to him, okay, now you are going to be our candidate. But as we organize these primaries, you must consider Rose Vival as your deputy. He agreed. Jandor agreed. It was on that basis that Body George now said, okay, let's go. We'll support you. So when he's complaining about Body George now, this is the reason behind it all. So they went for the primaries. By the time they got to the primaries, Jandor had gone back to Abuja and hijacked all the delegates for the primaries. Again, the leaders didn't do their due diligence. I was one of the people that some leaders from Abuja called and said, please go and endorse Jandor, help him. I did. After endorsing Jandor, Jandor refused to pick my calls. He didn't want anybody. He actually said publicly that he's going to retire all of us old men and women in the party, but the judge included. This is where the whole problem started. So when he refused to take, he went to the primaries with the delegates that were being given to him by the national. So instead of using PDP delegates, people that have been in the party all this time, he took his Lagos for Lagos people and they voted him in. So he never really had a proper primaries. He was voted in the primaries by delegates who were not PDP. Some of them were still sitting members of APC that he brought into PDP 6 months earlier. And he called them Lagos for Lagos. So that's where the problem started. When he won these fabricated primaries, he was not alone. I think you see this trajectory. You can see how it happened. He was now totally alone by what he has said, how he had declared war against everybody, how he had betrayed everybody, and how he has stood alone. He said he didn't need these PDP people. He had people from Lagos for Lagos. They would do these primaries. So he won the primaries. Now they said to him, okay, now that you won, nothing we can do about it now. At least let us give you, the party leaders, including Chief Bode George, particularly said, let us give you a deputy to balance the ticket. If you don't want rival, what we normally do in PDP, we find a female who is strong in a certain senatorial district that we can pair up with you. He said no. He is going to choose his own deputy.
Who did the party leaders want to be the vice?
He never gave them a chance to even give them anybody. Because what we normally do is they will have primaries again. They will choose among some people, or women most likely, to balance the ticket. He never gave them the opportunity. Therefore, he said he was going to choose his own deputy. Jandor went and brought this comic actress, and they said she had thousands of people on Facebook. That she was going to be, and that was the end of Jandor. You see how it happened? So he alienated everybody. You remember there was a time when Wike came to Lagos and endorsed the Lagos State APC governor. What do you think happened there? So when he's talking about betrayal of leaders and distrustful leadership and so on, he caused it all. It was all his fault. Wike turned against him because he had turned against Wike before. When Wike was going for president, Wike came to Lagos with Governor Makinde, and they went to the leadership of Lagos, to Bode George's Lugard premises, with Jandor as their man who would deliver national delegates for them in Abuja for president. And they had a handshake, and they gave him money to support them to work for them. A week after that, they found Jandor in Abuja with Atiku. I mean, so now Wike can't trust him. I don't know whether Atiku could trust him. This is what happened to Jide Jandor.
Thank you very much for laying that foundation.
Wow. But okay. All right. So many, conversations and revelations have occurred. Right now, we're also joined by Shamsudeen Dambazau, the former member of Federal House of Representatives. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, the PDP was once a dominant party in Nigeria. It ruled for 16 years. But since then, it's been plagued by defections, leadership struggles. Would you say this decline we're seeing of once formidable party in Nigeria that held sway for 16 years is self-inflicted, or was it inevitable?
Thank you. I would say it was something that was bound to happen, because in any situation where, for example, you have a soccer team and team is on the pitch without an opposing team. The players don't have any reason to perform at a level to level up with the other team. And because of that, the coaches also don't have any reason to make sure that they get top performing players on the field to match whoever is opposing them on that field. And so because of that, we go into a system where everything becomes redundant and there's mediocrity plaguing the system as a whole. And so because of that, PDP had a good run and became complacent because of the lack of a proper opposition, which brought the APC merger into power. And if we look at the situation, the same thing is playing out now. The PDP should have, well, it is still the strongest opposition that we have in Nigeria at the moment. It has structures all across. And I would say that it is the responsibility of the PDP to pose as a strong opposition to make sure that the ruling party delivers on its promises and good governance as well.
Now, Honorable Dambazau, just to follow up on what you said the PDP is a formidable opposition party. It's one of the strongest with structures across the country. But when you look at the PDP, there seems to be different factions. You have the Atiku Abubakar camp, and you also have the Nyesom Wike, who are loggerheads. So it will be very hard for the PDP to streamline their thoughts and ambitions going as we inch towards the 2027. Do you think they can fix this internal wranglings and factionalization before 2027? Because we're looking at big personalities here with big egos, so to speak.
I mean, we can't rule out anything being impossible. I've seen a couple of moves by the PDP. I think recently, as recent as last week, we had the professionals, the PDP professionals, I think it was on the 4th of March also, they had a meeting on and had discussions about how to resolve the internal wranglings of the party and create a united front. So far, I've seen that there have been a lot of moves by the PDP in that respect, and they've been doing a lot of consultations with members of other parties as well to form possible mergers. So I think before 2027, with the strategy that I see PDP implementing as far as fixing up the internal crisis, there is a possibility. However, if you also recall recently, Senator Ned Nwoko recently left the PDP because of the said internal crisis. Now, we have juggernauts such as Wike, like you mentioned, and Atiku Abubakar, and even the other stalwarts in the PDP that are at loggerheads. And if they don't sit down and find common ground, then it would be impossible for PDP to stand as a strong opposition against the ruling party. But we should also remember that the job of the ruling party, of the opposition, is really not to make noise. The job of the opposition is to inspire the ruling party to make changes, to keep their promises, and to make sure that Nigeria, that they are held accountable to whatever their mandate is.
All right, thank you very much for that thought process. We'd also quickly come back into the studio here to continue the conversation about what's happening in Lagos regarding the Lagos People's Democratic Party. And that's to speak to the exit of Jandor and who his potential replacement might be. Yesterday on the show, we had Funsho Doherty join us, and we do know that he's nursed the ambition to be the gubernatorial candidate for the party, or he might be nursing the ambition. Do you think that Funsho Doherty will be a formidable replacement for Abdulaziz Jandor?
There is nothing like replacement. Everybody who wants to run for governor will come in and declare their interest. Funsho Doherty certainly is a very good potential. And I know that he has gone around to see the members of the party at all levels, and he's been having very good evaluation. But other people may come into the race. What is most important for us, I, by the way, know Funsho Doherty very well and encourage him to come into the party.
PDP.
Yes, but what is most important, even if my daughter's son was running, this is what I would say. If we don't have a proper primary, an election that is free and fair, that credible, we're going to have a problem with the candidate, which is what happened with Jandor. We had a very faulty primaries. Let everybody come into the race. If you want to run against Doherty, come in. So all of them will be evaluated as we always do.
All right.
Then we will go to the primaries and we will determine the best of them, vote for that person, and that person will become our candidate.
All right. We might have to interject at this point as we have reports of some breaking news. Okay. The breaking news. All right. We do have reports, unfortunately, that... Okay.
Okay, just while we wait for the breaking news, I'd like to bring Honorable Shamsudeen Dambazau back into the conversation. It's said that one of PDP's biggest undoing in the last elections was not respecting zoning agreements, that there was an unwritten agreement that the North would do 8 years in power and then it shifts to the South. But we had the person of Atiku Abubakar come out to say, look, I don't respect that agreement. He came out and they lost. How important is this zoning agreement in the PDP and sticking to the zoning agreement? And do you think that Mr. Atiku Abubakar will throw his heart into the presidential race once again in 2027? Knowing that we have a Southern president who will most likely want to seek a second term in the person of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu?
Well, I would say I'm just going to speak my own beliefs. And as far as the zoning, while it is inclusive, in the most important aspect or factor that we should look at when choosing our leaders in this country is competence. Who is able to do it? Who is able to deliver? Who has the interest of our nation at heart? Who is concerned about what people go through, the economic hardships, the security lapses? That being said, the reason why Atiku lost his election, in my opinion, isn't because of the regional factor, but more so a lack of proper strategy and tactics.
How so?
The first blunder was when he was asked to pick his vice president. He gave the mandate to a committee to come up with a suitable candidate. Unanimously, they chose Barrister Nyesom Wike. And at that time, if he knew he wasn't going to honor the submission of that committee, then he could have just straight up picked out his vice president. Now, Wike, being the kind of human being he is relentless. He, of course, and he has his own ambitions. He fought them back, and that is when you started seeing the other governors breaking out. And then he picked a vice president who, well, a running mate, who, while he could possibly have been able to provide resources to run the campaigns, did not have the political gravitas and charisma to attract the kind of votes that would be needed at the time for them to win. So I think these are the issues that need to really be addressed. And it goes even beyond the PDP. This is one of the issues I have been speaking out against. Our internal democratic processes will not allow us to produce the right leadership. When there's so much interference and dictatorship. The other day I was having a conversation with a former Senator Maina, and I told him, distinguish, what we are practicing in Nigeria is not democracy, and that there needs to be a study to be done by some political scientists in Harvard and other renowned institutions to give what we are doing in Nigeria a name, because it is not democracy.
Do you think we pay too much attention to godfathers and the internal democracy? For example, if you look at the happenings in Lagos in the last few weeks, it's almost like some power block or somebody is pulling the strings behind the scenes. You've quite experienced in politics. How do we break ourselves off the stranglehold to make sure that the will of the people prevails, that those that vote? Because it seems, people just go through this exercise every 4 years, and then there's some power block that really calls the shot behind the scenes and not the people.
Well, you see, the structure has been placed in such a way that it prevents good leaders from even being filtered through the system. Because if we go back to just looking at delegates, when I contested for the House of Reps in 2018, and I had to deal with the delegates at the time. In my area, a lot of the delegates were not even literate. Like they can't read, they can't write, they are not. If you ask them what is the constitution of the party itself, they don't know anything about that. They don't know what a manifesto is. They don't know the reason, so they are completely unaware and politically ignorant. The first thing we need to do is even change the people that are delegates. For me, I would prefer to see maybe professors from universities and doctors, academics. Mm-hmm. There should be a new set of criteria that will be used to choose who delegates are, not people that are unaware.
All right.
And go ahead.
Mr. Dambazau, if you may hold that thought for a bit. I'll come back to you to have you complete your thought, and I'll also have Dr. Pearse respond to it, because there are a number of things that you said I'm sure that he has responses to. But we do have breaking news. The breaking news is that Dr. Doyin Okupe is dead. Reports reaching us has it that former presidential spokesperson and the prominent political strategist has unfortunately passed away. Okupe, who is 71 years, was a key figure in Nigerian politics, having served as a senior advisor to former President Goodluck Jonathan, and more recently as the Director General of Peter Obi's 2023 presidential campaign. Very unfortunate development, very sad indeed to report it, and may his soul rest in peace. Our thoughts and our prayers are with as many who are currently mourning this unfortunate loss. Dr. Pearse?
And Okupe has been sick for quite a while, and we pray that he will recover, but unfortunately it has ended this way. May his soul rest in peace.
Amen.
May he find solace with his God. May the people who are left behind find the courage to bear the loss.
Amen.
Amen. Mr. Dambazau, do you have any thoughts regarding this unfortunate development?
Yes, it came. When I saw it, I was really shocked. I was surprised. And I mean, death is inevitable. And I offer my sincere condolences to his family. And I pray to God to give them the fortitude to bear this loss. And may his soul rest in peace as he transitions to the other side.
Amen.
Amen. Indeed.
Amen.
He, of course, has played his part, and the journey continues in this journey of life. And we will all come and go. And I'm hoping that, this informs the decisions that we're making every day, knowing that we're not all going to be permanent here. But again, our hearts and our prayers are with the Okupe family. And now let's come back to the conversation. You had made a number of statements, especially regarding Nyesom, Wike, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, the alleged factions, and what should have been. I would like to bring in Dr. Pearse. I know that he had a number of reactions to some of the statements that you made earlier, and he has the floor.
The former member of the House of Reps is very well recognized, like a lot of what he has said. The problem with the factions that you mentioned, in my opinion, and I think the former member of the House of Reps said something to that effect, that our problems are being solved daily. The national body of professionals that met recently has suggested that one way to solve this problem is for Nyesom Wike to either resign from the PDP or be expelled from the PDP, because he has been a thorn in the flesh of the party for too long.
I don't think he's been a thorn in the flesh of the party, because if he has been a thorn, they would have sanctioned him by now.
Well,
he hasn't done anything about it.
He has been a thorn. It's got to a point now.
And divisive.
The thorn has to be removed because the party realizes that this is getting unbearable. That's part of the issue with PDP. We like to go through the process. If you want to take us to court, we go to court. We wait till the court resolves the issue, and so on and so forth. Other parties, they would have thrown him out a long time ago. But as for Wike, so that's the way that's going to end.
So the national body of professionals met. Is the party planning to kick him out of the PDP soon?
Well, you see, from that report of the national body, and from what I observe at the national level, and from my own perspective, Wike must go. It is time for Wike to leave the party.
Are they ready to make that move?
I believe so. I believe so. I cannot speak for the national body, but I'm saying that based on that report and the way that report has been taken by the national and the way that I see it, because we've been talking about this for a long time. We've been talking about this for a long time, that it's high time that this man who thinks he's above the law and above the constitution of the PDP has to decide if he wants to run, if he wants to be a member of APC, let him go there. If he wants to be a member of PDP, let him come. You see, you can be a minister in the APC government and do your job as a minister and don't dabble into the politics of the parties. And it's okay. That's why we thought if he wants to be a minister, good for him. PDP will be represented there, but he's not representing PDP. He's not representing our interests. In fact, he's fighting against the interests of the PDP from within the APC government, and the president, unfortunately, is giving him courage to do the damage to PDP. So therefore, in my own opinion, he should go. As far as Atiku is concerned, there are two options for Atiku. And you know I was one of his spokespersons in the last election. He's our leader, but he's been the candidate in 2019. After he left the party in 2015, came back. He's been a candidate in 2023. If he wants to run again, if the Constitution allows, you see, what happened in 2023 was unfortunate again, is the lapses of the leadership. We were waiting to see what the 36-man committee would decide whether we are going to zone or not to zone. You cannot blame Atiku for going to buy a form, because Atiku was waiting. They decided there was no zoning. They never made any clear pronouncement about the zoning. So if you zone, you don't sell the form to somebody who does not qualify to buy the form, but they sold it to him. So he bought the form. So those of us who wanted to support him say, well, if he's allowed to run, let him run. And that's the problem.
Now, looking at the political landscape in Nigeria today, as we project towards 2027, do you think he would be a good candidate? Would you advise him to run, or you'd rather, as a member of the PDP, have someone else try? Because he's tried a few times. And others will argue that, you know, President Buhari won his elections on the 4th attempt. So is a Nigerian citizen has every right to go for it.
Well, look, under this condition now, the general sentiment in the country is that the next 4 years, 2027 to the next 4 years, should be given to the South presidency in PDP. I'm not talking about APC. That is the feeling in PDP, that this thing should come to the South. However, this is what I say. Once we have our national convention and we elect a substantive national chairman, let us say from the North, because most likely that will be from the North, because the Northern term has not expired. You know, Dr. Ayu left in the middle of 2 years actually into his term. So if, as it appears now, the sentiment is that the presidency should come to the South, as it appears now, the sentiment is that the national chairman will come from the North. Therefore, if that happens, the presidency is likely to come from the South. So the issue of Atiku will not be relevant anymore.
Right.
There'll be no need to even discuss it. As it is now, I don't know if you know, but we all know that a governor of your state is actually talking about running for president. And he's doing so well in Oyo State that he seems to me to be a very viable candidate.
So you will throw your support behind the governor of Oyo State?
I am already supporting him. I believe, but again, you know, I follow the rules to the core.
All right.
Okay. Let him go to the primaries. If we zone, if the party zones the president, the national chairman to the North, then it is clear for him to come in and run. That is what we should do. Okay,
just to go back again very quickly to Nyesom Wike, I'll bring in Mr. Dambazau in this moment, but let me quickly ask you. We've seen that Nyesom Wike is fearless and is a fighter. We've seen what's happening in Rivers State. Some would say that he might be having the last laugh, but we're not, quite done with what's happening in Rivers State. Would you say, you've said that in Nyesom Wike, it's time for him to exit the party. The party is ready to kick him out from what you've said. Would you say that Nyesom Wike, the party is afraid of Nyesom Wike? Would you say that Nyesom Wike is stronger than the People's Democratic Party?
No. This is what is going on. You see, the national chairman now, Ambassador Damago, is a good example. The national public secretary is also a similar kind of character. These are gentlemen who just play politics like true Democrats in a civilized world.
By the rules.
I myself don't play politics that way. I understand that in this country with people like Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you have to be rough and tough and be ready to fight them each of the way. Nobody won that 2023 presidential election. Nobody. Atiku got 12 states, Obi got 12 states, Tinubu got 12 states. 31% of the vote came in and INEC announced. INEC is the issue. What the House of Reps was saying that we have to do this, do that in an election, true. The key thing for us to have credible election is to refine INEC. INEC is the one that made Akpabio senator. Akpabio is not qualified to be a senator because Akpabio did not run for Senate. The vice president Shetima, the same thing. There's so many of them, they are criminals who are not even qualified to be there. What happened? INEC gave it to them. President Tinubu didn't win election, they gave it to him.
People say
the problem is.
Of INEC is the executive arm appoints the INEC chairman, so it's not truly independent. In what ways can INEC reform to serve the interests of Nigerians?
If so long as the president is the one appointing the INEC chairman, we cannot have a credible election.
All right.
So that has to be revised. This same thing happened. Can you imagine in the United States, if when Trump was saying, 2024, that he won the election, he would have just instructed the INEC chairman, declare him. He couldn't do it because the INEC chairman is not controlled by the presidency.
Right.
We have to have that system in place, even before 2027. Other than that, 2027, it's basically gone again.
All right, I want to bring in Mr. Dambazau as well to react to some of the conversations that we've just had, especially we've heard Dr. Pearse when he says that it's time for Wike to exit the People's Democratic Party. Do you think that it's time? Do you believe that the party can kick him out?
I agree with Dr. Pearse. If the party can kick him out is also another question. I don't know, because of the kind of character that Nyesom Wike is. He's someone he's like a pit bull. So, but definitely it's like you are in your house and a thief sneaks into the house and then he hides and you lock the door with the thief inside. You know, they will do damage. So definitely if you can't be non-binary. You need to be in one place. So I think for the PDP to thrive and function properly, there has to be a resolve on that, you know. Okay. And because, and then as far as I just want to add something to what Dr. Pearse said concerning the INEC.
All right,
and generally speaking, we have an issue with weak institutions in Nigeria. So whether it be the INEC, the judiciary, the weakness of our institutions is the main problem. And if we don't strengthen those institutions, regardless of what we do, we always will get the same outcome. Thank you.
Just before we let you go, in less than a minute, if you can, the APC played opposition for 16 years while the PDP held sway, and they had to take a merger. We saw the CPC, different parties come together to wrestle power from the PDP. Do you think, looking at 2027 elections, that the PDP stands a chance if there's no merger or sort of mega party?
No, there would definitely have to be a merger but not, because like I mentioned, the issues of insecurity, the economic hardships, the weak institutions, and bad governance have really pushed Nigerians to the edge. So there is still a high likelihood, but for assurance, because of the weakness of our institutions such as INEC, if you don't come with a very profound force, then it will be difficult for you to wrestle power out of anybody's hands in this country, regardless of their party.
Thank you very much, Honorable Dambazau.
All right, thank you very much for joining the conversation this morning, and thank you very much, Dr. Pearse. Any final thoughts before we get out of this conversation?
Well, I'd just like to say that what the PDP is experiencing in opposition is not unexpected. The ruling party has all the cards, all of the people are in place, so we would have, PDP will continue to have challenges because the party in power will make sure that we have problems. Given that we are taking care of our problems.
So APC is the one manipulating your problems?
Definitely, they are contributing to it, certainly. Now, and that is political strategy, everybody knows that. Now, what the PDP is doing, it's important for the PDP to strengthen itself from within. You do not form a merger with people who are coming from, if you have a problem with one wife or one husband, you think when you bring another one in as your maid, that's when you're going to solve the problem? No. PDP is not APC. APC was not in opposition. APC was not a contender when we were in government for 16 years. APC basically didn't exist. It only existed in the Southwest. What happened was that CPC had some votes in the North. APC had some votes in the... This is why you have an unholy alliance that is not working for the country till now. So therefore, it is not the merger that will help PDP, because PDP is strong by itself. If APC, as it was, ACN, or CPC had what we had, now what we have now, which is structure in every local government in Nigeria, every ward in Nigeria, that's why we were able to be in government for 60 years. Until now, we're in opposition with 12 states, governors all over the 12 governors. Come on, we are not the same as what APC was or CPC was.
You think you're in a better position?
We need to just strengthen ourselves. Right. We don't need to merge with it. If you merge with Labour, what are they going to bring?
Peter Obi.
Peter Obi?
Yes.
One man who doesn't even know where he stands.
And with a huge following, the OBDM.
Wait. It is
we
not,
have to get out of this conversation.
It is not a huge followership. It showed in the last election. Where is he? Where is Labour Party now? You know, it doesn't exist. How many governors do they have? How many people do they have in the National Assembly? What are they bringing to the table? Zero. What is NPP? Who is going to partner with us? We don't need it. We need to... Don't run away from your problems, PDP. Tackle your problems internally.
Would you welcome a Peter Obi to the PDP, for example, if he wants to?
It is not Peter Obi that is important. It is the Igbo vote that is important for PDP. And we had the Igbo vote. Peter Obi or no Peter Obi does not represent all the Southeast votes, all Igbo votes. Igbo people were mainly members of the PDP. We need to go and reach out to our people, bring them back into the fold. Let's work together and win 2027 to save Nigeria from the destructive nature of this APC administration for 8 years of Buhari and 4 years of Tinubu. God help Nigeria.
Dr. Adetokunbo, thank you very much for joining us today. We, of course, have enjoyed having you.